What is up, guys? Mobogsy here, once again with another YouTube video on Flesh and Blood. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Our boy Chane just got a huge nerf, and is he still playable after Seeds of Agony have been banned? So, as many of you guys know, I did bring Chane to the calling in Las Vegas. I had a lot of fun. I will talk more about my record and how Vegas went and how the pre-releases went in another video, but I just had to get this out there. This is a huge announcement. This is the first ban that I have been a part of since I started playing Flesh and Blood. I picked up Flesh and Blood during the Monarch Blitz deck releases, so not terribly long ago. And I loved Levia and Chane from those Blitz decks. These were like my two heroes. My first ever Blitz deck was Levia. My first and only ever Classic Constructed deck was, you guessed it, Chane. So this hits home. Like, I'm a big Chane lover. I do think Chane needed something, but I also feel like the meta was responding correctly and people were learning how to play against him. So I'm not sure if this big of a ban needed. So what does the ban and restricted announcement say? It says, over the course of the Road to National season, and the calling Las Vegas, Chane was a menace. Chane was doing very good. He had a 22% play rate on day 1. And I believe on day 2 it jumped up to like 60% or something insane like that. Like, it went from like 22 to like all the way up here. Like, it was a crazy jump. And looking at other people, like Kano, I think was 14% on day 1, and then on day 2 it fell to like 7. So like Chane was just beating everybody. However, Chane did not win the whole event. So I kind of thought that Chane was gonna like sneak under the bandwagon because like, well, Chane didn't win. No reason to look at him because I come from a Magic background. And in Magic, it's like, well, yeah, this deck is very oppressive, but it didn't win the event, so we'll just forget about it. But luckily, LSS is not like that, and they realized it was a menace, and they had to do something about it. Now, do I believe banning all 3 colors of Seeds was the right choice? I will honestly say no. I would have been, like, somewhat shocked if they're like, hey, Chane is still legal, but we're just going to ban yellow and red Seeds. Leave the blue Seeds. And the main reason about this is my boy Ursa here is now almost unplayable. I love Ursa. I have the cold foil. Getting an Ursa out from an Eclipse was one of the coolest feelings in the world. When you set up that big Eclipse turn late game and you got Ursa out there, you just felt like you were in control of that game. And everything you did for the past 8 turns all came up. However, now I just have this deck and I'm just looking at it sad because it's my favorite deck I've ever played. I love it. But I think if they banned, like, just red Seeds, because blue Seeds were pretty much useless. Blue Seeds were very hard to proc. You had to use awkward cards to proc them. Like Shadow of Ursa. Not Shadow of Ursa. Yeah, Shadow of Ursa, right? That's the card. The 0 mana attack. There's not many other 0 mana attacks in this game. So I feel like the blue Seeds could have stayed. Banning red and yellow to see how it goes, or even if you just ban the red Seeds and then say, hey, yellow Seeds is here for now, it's on the watch list, just to like kick them down a notch. But we'll see what Chane happens, because I honestly do think Tales of Aria is going to kick Chane in the face. I think if you can get like an Ice Lexi deck out there, or an Ice Oldheim, is that what we're calling him? Oldheim? Like an Ice Control or like an Ice Aggro-ish deck. Because Chane was already like 50-50 against other aggro decks. Like Aggro Katsu could really punch Chane in the face if you didn't block correctly and stuff. But I am super excited to see how this meta goes. Now the other bigger ban announcement was Duskblade. I did not see Duskblade coming, I'll be honest. I opened a cold foil Duskblade at the pre-release in Vegas, and I sold it to somebody in round 1. And I do feel a little bad that it's banned now, but I honestly, like, I think the card is good. I did not think it was ban worthy. I think I'm going to sleeve up a deck built around Duskblade still and just see if it's really that insane. Because a lot of times in Chane, I would get turns where I just didn't have any non-attacks in my hand. I didn't banish any non-attacks, and I feel like that would just kill Duskblade right then and there. But I might not be thinking of it correctly, so that is interesting. And then, the last thing is, where do we go from here? Where does the meta shift? So Duskblade is gone. We don't know how amazing that would be or how it would have been in this next meta. and Seeds are gone, so I can't take this Chane deck and play it. I have to move at least 4 cards. But then what other cards get hit? So when you look at a normal Chane deck, and you just look at mine in general, consuming. I have no easy way to do arcane damage now, so I believe consuming has to be cut. Because the whole big thing was if you deal arcane damage, they discard a card when it hits. Not good enough anymore, right? We cannot play a card like that. Riftbind. Riftbind. Just got a kick in the face. I honestly would have rather them banned red and yellow Riftbinds. Even just red Riftbind, I think, would have been enough to slow it down. Riftbind's a card I never feel good about casting, just because when it's bad, it's really bad, and when it's good, I feel bad because it's way too good. You get those turns with Seeds and Riftbinds, it was just not fun. What other cards got a huge nerf, though? Rip Through Reality. So Rip Through Reality was, again, a card that I was fringe playing, because when it is bad, it's a 2 mana 4 attack, and that feels terrible. But when it's good, for 2 mana with Go again, and you have other stuff to play, it was really good. I think this card may also get cut from the deck, or slimmed down, because it is just not as good as it used to be. So far we're cutting maybe yellow Riftbinds, maybe Consumings, and maybe Rip Through Realities. Is there any other cards that stick out in my deck list that either need you to do something before it, or needs arcane damage? I don't think so. I think it's really just those. But again, that's... So Seeds is 9 cards, 3 Consumings is 12, add in 3 Rip Through Realities, that's 15, and add in 5 Riftbinds. That's 20 cards of the Chane deck that just basically got banned without getting banned. Because can you still play all the cards? Yes. Are they as good as they used to be? Nowhere near as good. So what do I think the meta is going to shift, and where would I go from this? So when I was at the Calling Vegas, I'm just knocking my deck away now because it does not want to fit. I picked up a few things. 3 of the cards that I picked up was actually, let me go back to full screen here. I picked up Reinhardt, that's not Reinhardt, Reinhardt, Foily, Adult Foil, and 2 of his equipment pieces. Because I feel like Reinhardt may be a good piece for Nationals. I want to see how this meta goes, but I might be bringing my boy Reinhardt to Nationals. The other choice that I'm really tempted to think about is leaving up Kano and playing Kano in Classic Constructed. Depending where the control matchups go, if there's a lot of ice going around, you can just do stuff at the end of their turn, ignore the ice effects, I believe. Or you have to do it before they hit you. Either way, you can play around the ice effects pretty well with Kano. And if it becomes a lot of like defense reactions and like slow, dirtily Guardian decks, you can't defense react to a arcane spell. So Kano and Reinhardt, where I'm currently looking at going. I want to try Lexi. Lexi seems like a lot of fun, but I'm going to have to learn how to play Ranger, because I've never touched that class, ever. The third class for consideration is Prism. I'm not a Prism player myself. I don't find Prism's gameplay interesting, but that is where you could go. I'm hurt. I'm upset from this ban announcement, because it kills my boy Chane, and that's my deck. Like I've played it since I got into Flesh and Blood. It was the first deck I played in Blitz. It was my baby in Classic Constructed. I had a lot of fun, but just gotta move on, and hopefully I find a new love in Flesh and Blood. I will see you guys next time.